the lace glove by Jennie Atkinson. So I have just cast on using 2 needles. That will give me a nice large loop in which to start knitting, because these are fairly small circumference needles. They are 3 millimeter or 2.5 US. So now when I begin to knit, I have a nice large loop. To knit into. These needles have a pretty nice point. If you can see that. And I believe they're made of celluloid. They have some flexibility to them. As do all of these. These were all a gift from my friend Sabina. They're antique knitting needles, made in England, most of them, I imagine. That one says made in England, Bonnet. They look like pickup sticks, don't they? Do you remember pickup sticks where you would take the needle and try and flip off the color that you needed and you would get certain points if nothing else moved? The kids' game. Somewhere I still have my original set of pickup sticks. Anyway, I'm going to keep on knitting on this, and I will be back with you when I have a little more of the glove knit up. So I just wanted to check in with you and show you the progress I've been making. You can see here that they're starting to form a shape, and it's not knit in the round, it's knit flat. But wait, it gets even more interesting. I'm pausing here to show you that I've started knitting the thumb. There's no thumb gusset, it's just that you work on these stitches flat. So still nothing in the round, as you can see. I have come to the place in the glove where the thumb is knit flat. The reason I have both my needles here is that all the stitches have to be on the needles this way. I was just knitting this center section, so I can't work across the row. What happens next is that I have to thread the yarn onto my needle, my darning needle, which, by the way, is vintage. It's been in my family for a couple of generations. It has a really long eye, and I lost it once. It got stuck to a magnet and I couldn't find it, and I was fit to be tied. So these stitches are going to be threaded through. And pulled tightly. And that is going to be the thumb of this glove. Are you seeing that? and I have to stitch down here before I go on. But the next 4 fingers will be done in the same way, a flat piece and gathered at the top and then stitch down. After finishing the thumb and pulling this tight, I am supposed to stitch it up, but I didn't. I sort of skipped over that step because I wanted to continue knitting. I've knit up to where I'm now going to start knitting the next finger, but I didn't want to proceed without showing you this intermediary step. Now I have the thumb, it's stitched up, and the index finger, that's stitched up too. And I'm beginning to work the middle finger just now. Now I'm at the stage where I have stitched up the thumb, stitched up the index finger, and have finished the middle finger. That's this. And I'll have to pull that together at the top and stitch that down and move on to the 4th finger. I've tried to arrange this so that you could make out what I'm doing here. Here's the thumb, the index finger, the middle finger, and right here is the ring finger. And soon I'll be on to the pinky, and I will come back with you when I finish that last little finger. I have not woven in any of the ends yet, but that's the hand of the glove, and then there's the lace cuff that will be stitched onto it, and there's an opening on the side to make it easy to get your hand in. You have to be, whoops, have to be pretty careful putting one finger in at a time. And then easing into them like you would a very form-fitting leather glove. There will be a button over here. And of course, that lace cuff. I have finished all of the knitting on the 2nd glove, including the pinky. I have not stitched each of the fingers as the pattern suggests, which I did differently on the 1st glove, but I wanted you to be able to see the flatness of each of them. And I also think when I go to pin it out on my blocking boards that it might be easier for me to pin and straighten out the lines. Anyway, 2nd glove finished. So recapping, I have the 2 gloves and the 2 cuffs now complete. And I'm going to toss a little bit of Eucalyptus, just a small amount. I'm not going to do a whole capful because I only put a little bit of water in this bowl, since the gloves are so thin and it's not a very dense knit. So just swish that around a little. Before I dunk the things though, I just want to have a look. My measuring boards, and you'll find a link below to where you can purchase these. My measuring boards have square inches on them. So I just want to have a vague idea of how big the gloves and the cuffs are. So it looks like this is about 4 inches wide and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 6 inches long, a little bit more. So 4 by 6, and the cuffs are currently measuring at the widest, well, on the ruffle edge, let's say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and on this side for about the same, but it's a parallelogram. So, okay, now that I have a rough idea of what I'm shooting for, because I don't want to stretch them too much, I'm going to put these in the wash. I'm going to put them all in. It's not that much. And I'll leave these to soak here for a little while, and I'll be back with you. Okay, so now some time has passed. I have my towel set up here. I'm going to squeeze out the excess water, pressing it against the side of the bowl, and place it on here. And I'm just going to roll this up a little bit. And I'm pressing the excess water out. And I'll set that aside on my board. There's the next one, next cuff. So you see, I'm just making a little jelly roll, squeezing it. These don't retain so much water. They're mostly air. Again, pressing against the side of the bowl, I'll squeeze out some of the excess water. And let me go to the inside part of this towel that hasn't been too wet yet. And now the last one. Okay, I think that should do it. Now, because I don't think these are all going to fit on one blocking board, I brought out 2 blocking boards. So I think I'll do one set on each board. Now, I happen to have a fairly large wrist, so if this was a little bit longer, it wouldn't hurt. Which it looks like it might be. Yeah, it looks like it might have grown to 10 squares. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and a little bit. I think if I widen it out, it will shrink in the length. So I really need it both ways. I need the depth of the cuff, and I need the width. So now I'm getting more into the zone of where it originally was. This edge is the edge that will attach to the hand. So I'm not as concerned with that, but I will pin it. These are hardly wet at all. Somehow this is a little bit short in here. I think I might have made a mistake in my knitting. But I'll try and line that up with the black line. And the same thing with these lines. I think I'd like that to be looking a little more straight. Frankly, I had a lot of mistakes. Even though the pattern isn't that many stitches, because you're knitting this way, I found that I was having trouble staying on the straight path. But I'm going to try and rectify that a little in the blocking to keep those lines straightened a little. I think in here, okay. And then I'm going to pin out each of these to make them have a more uniform shape. If you've never knit lace, lace is one of those things that really benefits a lot from blocking. It opens up the pattern. You can really see these leaf shapes going across now. And while I'm on this board, let me do the glove. So I had said about 4 inches in the width. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it looks like I didn't do too badly here. Maybe I would do better to go this way. Yeah. So what I really want to achieve in blocking this is to keep this line straight, because I think that will be visible when the glove is on my hand. This is the glove that already has the fingers stitched. I think the rest of it looks like it's going to be okay. It's practically dry. So I'm not sure how much the blocking is really going to aid this. I'm going to do the same thing with the other glove and cuff, and I'll see you when both gloves are dry and fully assembled. I have finished the gloves. I just wanted to give you a quick look at the finished product. The last part got seamed up here. There's a little bit of an edging that goes around there, and then a loop. That I just did a simple chain stitch and sewed on a button. It's not so much a functional thing as it is decorative, and I just wanted to show you, now that they are all stitched up, what the process of putting them on is like. It's easy to poke your finger or fingernail through, so you have to do it slowly and carefully. One thing that I'm really happy about is that I made these in wool, so they have a bit of give to them, which they might not have had they been done in cotton. And let me get into the other one as well. I wore a similar glove on my wedding day, except those were white and they were not wool, not cotton, something stretchy. Very dainty and delicate. I took off the watch that I was wearing. It was my dad's watch. A little bit clunky. So that now you can see my pretty lace gloves. That's the end. Thanks for staying with me through the process. Hope you enjoyed it.